Got a question for you. Do you have like $20 I can borrow? Okay, cool. If you do, then let me go ahead and make you something really neat with that. You know, I tell myself that I don't like storm decks, and the reality is I don't, but sometimes there's just a version of one that speaks to me way harder than it should, and it's usually when you get a storm deck that has a very restrictive scenario that you have to play around. Then it's a puzzle I get to put together, and I get to have a blast. So today's commander is going to be a little dwarf wizard that really put my brain to the test on how can you do storm without 1 mana spells to make a storm count actually matter. Today's commander is Shantotto, the Tactician Magician. They're a Izzet and 1 wizard with 0 power, and that's kind of a lie. Like, I promise you, that's a lie. That's not going to be 0 power for very long. So, she's got 0 power, 4 toughness, but if you cast a non-creature spell, she gets +X+O until end of turn, where X is the amount of mana you spent to cast that spell. However, if X is 4 or more, you get to draw a card. Now, this kind of got my brain a-turning, because usually with a Storm commander, you try to have a commander that either doubles triggers, that's why Krark is as good as he is, or Veyron is as good as she is, or you have one that is able to net you the mana or the draw so that you can dig through your deck. Anytime your commander can fill either the win condition, the fuel in the mana, or the fuel in the cards in your hand, then they're gonna be a good commander in general, but especially a good commander for Storm. This commander fulfills half of the win condition and all of the draw for us, and that's really nutty. So let's go ahead and talk about how she's going to operate. We're going to be playing a big spells deck, which is the way I prefer to play Magic. Like, lots of small spells is really fun, but it tends to get old after the 15th time you've casted Opt into Consider into a Frantic Search. So we need to play mostly spells that cost 4 mana or more, ideally as close to 4 mana as possible, so that we don't go overboard. We also have to recognize the elephant in the room. This commander cares about the mana you spent on the spell, not the converted mana cost of the spell. This means that we will only have limited assistance from Cascade and Delve and Discover as mechanics. Usually we can rely on these things in Spellslinger strategies to get lots of spells out there for really cheap, but in this commander, we have to pay that mana wholesale, which means we're going to have an obnoxiously big ramp package. And I mean, more than I am willing to even put in a landfall deck amount of ramp. But let's go ahead and get into some of the big things we are going to be trying to do. I said we would be getting limited assistance from free spells style cards, but that does not mean we're going to be getting no assistance. You see, some of these cards have the ability to dig us to our ramp spells, and they are 4 mana spells in their own right, or have some other ability that helps us as well. So, for instance, a card like Itali's Favor really only does one thing for us. It gives our commander Trample, allowing her to Voltron somebody into the face. But it also casts a spell with mana value 3 or less, which means we'll be able to hit a mana rock with this, so we'll have a little more mana for a follow-up turn, or even some more mana in this turn. Being able to discover into a Mind Stone or an Izzet Signet is gonna be able to allow us to extend our turns a little bit further. Same thing with cards like Throes of Chaos. Cascading as a 4 mana spell is really only ever going to get us rocks, but it's okay for it to almost always get us rocks because we still get the draw from the spell the first time we cast it, and we get it every time we cast the spell with its Retrace ability. Now, we won't get the Retrace from Into the Time Vortex, but as a 5 mana spell, it will be able to cascade into 4 mana spells, which our deck is packed full of more of those that allow us to extend. And one of those spells that we are packed with is Turnabout. This allows us to pay 4 mana to untap all of our lands. It's got other text on it, but that's exactly what we are going to use it for. Use Turnabout to extend your turn further while drawing a card with the commander and giving her 4 more power. Daring Discovery allows us to discover 4, just like the Into the Time Vortex effectively. However, it also has the ability to make 3 target creatures unable to block. Now, this is a situational spell, but being able to use this when an opponent has 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 blockers on the board means we're going to be able to sculpt their board into a disadvantageous position for them. Or if they've got 3 or less blockers, we can just effectively make our commander unblockable and delete 1 player out of the game. This is yielding 5 power to our commander, not counting the spell it's going to cast, which could be anything. Hell, this could get our Atali's Favor out of the deck and give us Trample, as well as the ability to sculpt what we are blocked by. Really quick interlude, just out of curiosity, have you already subscribed to the channel? And, like, if you have you let your friends know they should subscribe? Because, honestly, I think that building a lot of budget decks out means more of us get to come together and play games together, and what's better than sharing that kind of deck building with other people? Honestly, this is my very, very shameless plea for you to do the button thing that gives me better numbers. I appreciate it. Hit the bell notification icon. Tell your friends. I really put a lot of effort into this channel, so hopefully that shows, and it's worth showing off to other people. Anyway, back to the video. Speaking of Trample, we are going to run a Meteoric Mace. Yes, it effectively costs 10 mana to give our commander Trample, but 6 of that mana turns into 6 damage. Once we cast this, it uses Cascade, so it's probably going to get us to one of our ramp pieces so we can extend further, and with an equip cost of 4, it effectively means we spend 10 mana to get 10 power out of this on our commander, which is not bad at all. Speaking of 10 mana, we have Apex of Power. This allows us to get 10 mana of any one color and exile the top 7 cards of our library in order to cast any of those cards until the end of the turn. If this card is cast from our hand, it's the only way we're going to get that mana. We have spell copying in this deck, so do remember, when you cast something like Apex of Power, you are not necessarily going to be able to get all the mana in the world, because we're only ever going to have 1 Apex of Power that is cast. And I say that because in our big spell payoff section, we have one of the best friends for overcosted instants and sorceries, cards like Swarm Intelligence. Swarm Intelligence, Double Vision, 1000-Year Storm, and Storm of Saruman can all allow us to copy our spells and extend our turns way further. Now, our commander will not see the damage that those extra spells yield, because of course we are not spending mana on those, but that does not mean that those spells are without merit. Having a cloned copy of a Treasure Cruise still means we get to dig through a lot of our deck. Having a cloned copy of a Pirate's Pillage still means we get to generate a ton of treasures while digging through a ton of our deck. And since we are a non-creature spell deck as opposed to just an instant sorcery deck, we need some payoffs for non-creature spells. Manaform Hellkite will make a flyer with power and toughness equal to the mana value of a spell that we cast. Now, this card is worded exactly like our commander, but Shark Typhoon is not. Shark Typhoon says when we cast a non-creature spell, we get mana value for the X of whichever creature we are yanking, which means if we spend 1 mana on a Treasure Cruise because we've delved all the mana away, Shark Typhoon sees all of that and creates an 8/8 shark. These are alternate win cons and alternate payoffs for our deck so that we are not always reliant on our commander. And I am an advocate for using lieutenants in your deck. A lieutenant is any creature that can serve as an alternate engine to what our commander is trying to do. So let's run Tella the Great Sage. When we cast a non-creature spell, we make a 1/1 hero. If 4 or more mana is cast on that spell, then we get to draw 2 cards, meaning this is doubly as powerful as our commander, but it does not have the ability to win the game outright like our commander does. However, if we spend 8 or more mana on that spell, then we sacrifice Tella and it will deal that much damage to every opponent. Meaning, if we've got a ton of mana and we can spend that mana into the X of, say, a Curse of the Swine, we don't care how many creatures we get rid of. We just care that we've made a giant boom boom and everybody is gonna go straight to hell. Now, this is kind of sad because I've been playing Final Fantasy IV, and Tella's entire story arc is one of a man consumed with rage who eventually casts a spell that is far above his power level, especially for the age he's at, who ultimately sacrifices himself. And that's basically what this guy is doing here. So this is me saying great flavor for Tella, but it also makes me sad because it makes me remember losing him. Now, Voltron is one of our win conditions, so we need an easy way to make Voltron work for us, and one of those ways is Tygam's Strike. This gives a creature 2/0 and the ability to not be blocked for a turn, and it's got Rebound, so we are going to be able to kill not one but two opponents with this. Protective Bubble gives our commander Unblockable and Shroud. Unlike most Voltron decks, we actually don't have to target our commander with most of our spells in order for our deck to work, so giving our commander Unblockable and Shroud is just a nutty combination that we get to have access to, something that is very unique to how our particular deck is going to be built. But that is not all. Our commander is a massively powerful draw engine, but that's not everything we need to win the game. You can't rely on your commander for everything, even in the format called Commander. So let's talk about the draw engine that's going to be keeping our deck chugging along alongside our commander's draw. We are going to be running a 10-card draw package. And again, that is with our commander as well. So we have Into the Night, it becomes night, and we get to discard any number of cards and draw that many cards plus one. It's a standard-ass wheel, but it does standard-ass wheel things really good. Then we have Deep Analysis, a 4-mana draw 2 spell. This is strictly worse than a Divination in most decks, but for our deck, it's a 4-mana draw 3 with the ability to flashback if need be. Then we have Treasure Cruise and Dig Through Time. Both of these are delve spells, but remember, our commander will not see the best benefit from them if we drop them down to their mana pips like people normally do. Make sure with these spells to drop them down to 4 mana and no further if you want the full power of these spells in this deck. Then we have a bunch of ways to get treasures. Pirate's Prize draws us 2 cards and makes a treasure. Pirate's Pillage draws us 2 cards after discarding a card and makes us 2 treasures. Unexpected Windfall draws us 2 cards after discarding a card and makes us 2 treasures. Big Score does the same thing. And normally I would run a card like Seize the Spoils in here as well, but since it costs 3 mana, it's actually not doing as much for our deck as it normally would be doing in an average Storm deck. But we do still have some basic Storm stuff in here, like Frantic Search, which allows us to draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards, then untap 3 lands. This is here mostly because we have the spell copying in the deck, so we want to be able to use Frantic Search once and untap a bunch of lands. This is effectively an extender in our... Finally, we have the Finale of Revelation, and the Finale is a fantastic card that allows us to draw a ton of cards and then have a hand size that cannot be dropped down ever again. Now, if we spend 10 or more into the X, we also get to untap up to 5 lands afterwards, making this an extender like anything else. And yes, it does work with all of our spell copying, so we might be able to untap 10 lands with this card. Honestly, the card's great, and I love big spells in Spellslinger because the most boring mages are the ones who cast Magic Missile. The most fun mages are the ones who cast, oh my god, I'm about to end the world. Fuck, 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 fuck. I shouldn't have rolled a d20. Anyways, that's it for the draw package. Let's go ahead and move on to the removal package so that we can talk about making our opponents not win the game on their turns. We are a very aggressive deck, and I would have ran more counter spells, but in my testing, I honestly felt way better having fewer of those and just more gas given what this deck wants to do. But if you want to make the deck more resilient, you can easily do so by just adding a few more counter spells to the deck. It will make the deck a little more clunky on the aggro side. Honestly, if you're playing not a $20 version of this deck, you can probably find the best of both worlds there, but when you're working with budget cards, you've got to work within budget restrictions. So we have a 7-card interaction package and then a board wipe package as well. But our 7-card interaction package I don't even know how to speak. Smashing Success is our first card. For 4 mana, it blows up 1 artifact or land. This is good for getting rid of cards like Maze of Ith, which turn our deck off, and Glacial Chasm as well. This destroys any artifact or land. If an artifact is destroyed this way, we make a treasure token. This is wonderful with our spell copying because it can work as an extender very easily. Then we have Soulfire, making 1 creature deal its damage as power to any target at all. While in some cases we can use this as a removal spell, we can also use this as player removal, because if our commander has 10, 20, or 30 power, we might be able to just use that to snipe a player off the board, which we can also do with Burning Anger. This gives a creature the ability to tap and deal its power as damage to any target. Visions of Ruin makes every opponent sacrifice an artifact, and for each artifact sacked this way, we create a treasure token. We also have the ability to flash this back as well if we want to later in the game, which can extend us a little bit in niche situations. We have an Aetherize to remove all attacking creatures if they try to go at us, a Chaos Warp to get rid of any permanent type if we need, and a Negate to stop our opponents from playing any non-creature spells if the need arises. But for board wipes, we have some neat stuff. Now, we have some basic staples of Izzet like Curse of Swine to exile lots of creatures, and Volcanic Torrent, which you expect to see in any deck that does the free spell thing, especially in our deck, because if we play Volcanic Torrent and have 3 or 4 copies of this on the stack, then all the Volcanic Torrents will see each other and deal X damage to every creature and Planeswalker we don't control, where X is everything else. So if we've played 1 spell and then we cast 1 Volcanic Torrent and then we have a copy of the Volcanic Torrent, we've casted 2 spells this turn. Both Volcanic Torrents will hit everything for 2. The Storm spells do not count as casted spells. However, they are still spells that we have access to, so we still get their effects irrespective. Then we have Show-Stopping Surprise. We get to choose a creature we control, turn it face up if it's face down, and then deal damage equal to its power to every other creature. This will just clear the entire board out in 90% of situations. Waltz of Rage does the same thing. And, well, it also has the ability to make it to where if any of our creatures died as a result of Waltz of Rage, then we get to exile the top card of our library and play it until the end of turn. It's mostly here so we can just wipe everything out in a pinch. And that does it for the removal package of the deck. 11 cards is a little scant compared to what I normally would run, but again, we are running on the Storm mentality, which is go, 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 go. I sincerely hope you brought the brakes because I chose not to pack them. That said, that's it for everything in the deck that we need to talk about that is not the massive freaking ramp package, so let's get into that. Like I said, we have a pretty massive ramp package here of 23 cards, and, well, the cards that originally made me want to make this deck are cards like Ichor Elixir. This, and Firemind Vessel, and Stone Speaker Crystal, and Ring of the Lucy, and Hedron Archive, and Sisay's Ring, and Urgolemai, and Stonekeeper Crystal. They all are the same thing. They're all the same card in this deck, I promise you. Every one of these just serves one purpose. You spend 4 mana and you get 2 out of it. Our commander gives us the draw power, so we are using this to immediately, effectively only spend 2, because we're netting 2 mana out of it at the end of the day. So we're spending 4, getting 2, drawing a card. In a lot of situations, we are able to extend that very, very far. We're also going to run treasure generators like Corvold and the Noble Thief. You saw a lot of that in our draw package, and this does the same thing. It's got other text on it, but we don't really care about that at all. We've got Ether in here as well, which allows us to get 1 mana and then copy instant or sorcery spells. And because we are going to be playing so many non-creature spells that cost 4 or more, let's play Prompto Argentum. He's able to give us 1 treasure whenever we cast one of those big dudes, and regardless of what spell we cast, as long as it's an instant or sorcery, we'll be able to get 1 treasure off of Stormkiln Artist as well. We do still need some basic ramp though, so let's use some 2-mana rocks. Fractured Powerstone, Sky Diamond, Mind Stone, Izzet Signet, and a Fire Diamond will make up our basic mana rocks that are able to get us there. And because our commander costs 3, we don't want to use too many 3-mana rocks. Though we will be using a Worn Powerstone because it just does a lot for us. Let's also run a Mana Dork in the form of the Emperor of Palmesia, and I'm sorry, I don't have any lore stuff for this one, because I refuse to play Final Fantasy II. I love myself too much for that. But anyway, the Emperor can add a blue or a red, and we use that mana to cast any non-creature spell. If we cast a non-creature spell with 4 or more mana, though, then we get to put a 1/1 counter on the Emperor, and then if it has 3 or more 1/1 counters, it transforms into the Lord Master of Hell, with the Starfall ability allowing it to deal X damage to every opponent, where X is the number of non-land cards in our graveyard, meaning that our mana dork can be an alternate win condition in and of itself. Let's also put a loot dispute in here so that everybody starts fighting over the initiative. It gives us a guaranteed land drop, and it gives us a treasure token. We don't care about anything else it does. It just makes the players start punching each other. If we use loot dispute correctly, we can get hit once by a player and then let the other players pass this around like a ball and get themselves lower so that it's easier for us to kill them. Then we have the Lava Brink Floodgates. It'll add 2 mana like all of our other 2 mana ones, but at the beginning of each player's upkeep, they may put a Doom counter on the Floodgates. Then if it has 6, or what is it, 3? Yeah, 3 or more Doom counters, we sacrifice the Floodgates, and it will board wipe the entire board. We can use this to politic people into a position where they can get rid of problematic things from everybody else's board, especially if it's hard for us to deal with them because we have a lower removal package. But if they want to keep their boards, then we get all the mana, and we might be able to just win on our own turn. Who knows? Then we need some spells that are going to give us an obnoxious amount of mana. Mana Geyser and Brass's Bounty are perfect for this, giving us a ton of mana or treasures depending on what we need, and they are more than 4 mana, so they trigger our commander's ability to draw. Then we have an Inner Fire, which will add red mana to our mana pool for every card in our hand. That's it for the ramp package, but for lands, we will be running 11 islands and 13 mountains, as we do lean more heavily into the red, with our untapped dual lands being Ferris Lake, Sulphur Falls, Exotic Orchard, Frostboil Snarl, Shivan Reef, and Command Tower, with a single tapped land being Temple of Epiphany, so that we have access to that early game scry. Let's use the fetching lands of Evolving Wild and Terramorphic Expanse to fix our colors, and a Myriad Landscape to ramp us if we need. For utility lands, we do have Voltron as a win con, so Rogue's Passage is kind of a no-brainer, a Pit of Offerings to get rid of problematic graveyard cards, as we always need at least one way to do that, a Spine Rock Knoll as a free spell generator later in the game if need be, and a Lonely Sandbar and a Forgotten Cave, since we want to have a higher land count so that we don't have to mulligan too hard, so cycling lands allow us to do so without hurting ourselves later if we do get mana flooded. And that does it for the entirety of the deck. That's our massive rant package. We have effectively 62 ways to make mana in this deck. That is an obnoxious amount for any deck to utilize, but our deck really needs it, and I think you'll see that when we do the playthrough. Looking at this opening hand, honestly, it's pretty decent. We've got a Rogue's Passage for the penultimate turn that's already set up, but we want to be careful with when we play it because we don't want to look like a giant threat. So let's go ahead and say that our sequencing is going to be lands into the Fractured Power Stone, into the Urgolem's Eye. That sounds reasonable. Let's open up, play a mountain, and pass. Next turn, we get to play an island, tap 2. There's the Worn Power Stone. We get to pass. Next turn, we pay 1, 2, 3. Let's get that commander out. And I hate to say it, but we are going to have to play the Rogue's Passage. Hopefully it slips under the radar. Next turn, we have a Throes of Chaos available, but we need mana more than anything. So we are going to pay 3, and we are going to get the Hedron Archive online to draw us a single card and give us access to 2 more mana. Can't use it right now, unfortunately. So we'll swing our commander at somebody if they are open. If not, we are just moving on to the next turn. And the next turn, we are going to pay 1, 2, 3, Stone Speaker Crystal. That draws us a card. 1, 2, 3, 4, Urgolem's Eye. That draws us a card. Once again, unfortunately, we are in a really awkward spot where we don't have enough to do anything. We have all this ramp, and we've drawn lots of things, but we have an Apex of Power and enough mana to spend it on the next turn. So let's lean into that when the next turn comes up, which is going to be right here. So we have only 3 lands. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 mana available. So let's go ahead and spend all of that mana. Let's spend it like this. Let's hold up the Rogue's Passage. And let's play Apex of Power. Boom, our commander has 10 power. And we get 1, 2, 3, and then we can cast non-land cards exiled this way. We don't get access to any of these lands. We do get this Ferris Lake into our hand, though, because of how the sequencing works. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All we got is Sisay's Ring and Into the Time Vertex. That's gross. So we're making blue mana? No, we have to make red mana. We have to make red mana with the Apex of Power. So we have 10 red mana, and we have the Ferris Lake. Let's use some of that red mana. What is it? 4? We're gonna go down to 7 or 6 red mana, play the Sisay's Ring. That's gonna cause our commander to draw us a card. And of course, that's actually pretty decent. We want our commander to punch somebody for lethal. We've done 10, 14. All we need is another 7 to kill a player. And we have 6 mana available still. Well, we have more than that, actually. Sisay's Ring. And man, we don't even need to do that. I was going to do Brass's Bounty. But we can just do Brass's Bounty. Fuck it. Sisay's Ring. And then the rest of our mana, which still leaves us with 1 red mana, gives us Brass's Bounty, which draws us a card, which makes our commander lethal. Brass's Bounty makes us 4 treasures. We're going to use all 4 of those treasures to give our commander the Rogue's Passage ability. We still have 2 mana available, and we're just not going to use it. Like, we've got a Frantic Search. We don't need to use it right now. 1 player's dead. Rogue's Passage and 21 damage on our commander means 1 player is dead. And all of these are exiled for good. And we have to discard them out until the end of the turn. So, we now look like the threat. We now look like the asshole that is going to end everybody's day, and it's not untrue. So check this out. We're gonna do more silly things here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 10 mana from artifacts right now. And that's super good to recognize. Let's go ahead and pay 3 to Frantic Search to draw 2 and discard 2. Ooh, that Inner Fire's looking like it's going to be super useful. We need the Ichor Elixir gone and the Visions of Ruin gone. Yeah, the Visions of Ruin is going to go. Frantic Search is going to go. Our commander has 3. We have 3 power right now. We're going to try to eliminate another player. 3 power right now. Let's do blue. And these are all untapped because of how Frantic Search works. We're going to pay 10 mana, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Did we get rid of the Ichor Elixir? We did. That was not the right thing to get rid of because of the turnabout that's in our hand. That was not what I needed to get rid of. But I don't see any other option, actually. So, you know what? It's fine. It's fine. We have turnabout in our hand. Let's pay 10, 11. Does 11 get us there? 7 plus 4 is 11. Sweet. Swarm Intelligence. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Turnabout. Copied. So first copy on the stack, we're going to make 10 mana. Second copy on the stack, we're going to have these untapped and ready to go. So we have 10 mana from these available to us at this exact moment. But do bear in mind, we had to have the blue mana from the Ferris Lake for that. So at least those are tapped. So we have 10 mana sitting in the winds here. One of it's blue and one of it is red. Let's go ahead and make a bunch of red mana. Let's use the blue mana. So with that, let's go ahead and add Pirate's Prize is happening. That's going to give us 2 treasures. Let's go ahead and get those out there. 2 treasures come out from that. And we get to draw 1, 2, 1 from the commander, and 2 more from the Swarm Intelligence. We still got plenty of mana open here. That uses up 4 of our mana. We still have 6 mana available. Let's go ahead and use some of that for a Throes of Chaos to draw a card and see what it yanks off the top of our deck. Throes of Chaos has Retrace, so it's going to go here. We still have 2 mana available from that last move. but that is going to give our commander lethal damage. Throws number 1 is going to go until it hits probably a mana rock. If I'm being honest, yep, it hits Sky Diamond. And throws number 2 doesn't actually get to do anything because it was not cast. So let's throw all those to the bottom of the deck. But the goal was to get our commander lethal, and our commander is lethal. We have 2 more mana available from that fiasco. Let's use that mana to play a Ring of the Lucy to draw a single card. And you know what? We can just do more dumb shit. Like, we can pay 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Play Waltz of Rage, wipe the board. Like, Waltz of Rage makes our commander a 27 power commander. So it deals 27 damage to the entire board. And now we pay 4, and we make our commander unblockable, and we punch somebody in the schnoz. And that's another player eliminated out of the game. And now we go into the final turn. That's a Stormkiln Artist. I feel gross for what I'm able to do here, because Stormkiln means that we get mana off of all of our shit now. So we get to do Inner Fire, because we have a big hand. So 1, 2, 3, Inner Fire, boom. And now we have the draw from our commander, so we make 7 mana, doubled, so we make 14 mana. That 14 mana is going to be able to be used for... We have a Flashback ability, which is neato. This is why Flashback's cool. 14 mana means we can just hard cast the Visions. And because we spend 10 mana on the Visions, that means we've thrown 14 damage into our commander so far. Our commander has 14 power as of this moment. And we get to blow up an artifact. We get to make 2 treasures off of that and draw a singular card because of how our commander works. And then we still have 4 mana available. Let's do Loot Dispute. Boom. Loot Dispute enters. We get to make a treasure token. Our commander has 18 power. That means we just need to do this and this. Give our commander Itali's Favor, which is going to dig until it hits a little card. Again, it's probably just going to be a mana rock because it's discovering 3. And I think we basically just have mana in that slot outside of, like, dorks that do silly things. Yeah, this Cascade's going to take a bit. It's going to hit Curse of... Oh, it's Discover. So Curse of Swine actually goes into our hand. These all go to the bottom of the deck. And that means we have 1, 2... We have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana available. Buddy, we're just going to knock out whatever silly blockers that you had. And we're going to do Curse of Swine, making our commander 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 power, generating a Soul's Fire, and now we can just go, here's my 25 power Trampler, punching over your itty-bitty pigs. Now, granted, the Curse of Swine is exile X creatures, so do recognize that we need to have the available targets there. This hypothetical is assuming our opponents have a board of creatures they're trying to block with. But either way, we can use that or we can use the Rogue's Passage. Either one of those makes our commander into a super dangerous thing to punch our opponents with for lots and lots of damage. So we've killed 3 opponents by turn 8, and we have done so expediently. So what if we had money to throw at this deck? Truthfully, one of the cheapest upgrades you could throw into this deck is the Sorceress Schemes. The fact that not only the spell, but its flashback cost work with our commander is fantastic. Now, the reason it's not included in this version of the deck is, quite frankly, because I forgot it. It's a card that just came out. I'm sorry, I don't remember every card in this game, and I just remembered it as I was digging through stuff for the upgrade section. So, I don't know, replace a land or something. Then we have Teferi's Ageless Insight. This effectively gives us double draw off what our commander is doing. This makes it way easier to extend further, and we can make sure that we have this double draw even more by having Veyran, Voice of Duality, and Harmonic Prodigy, which will allow us to double the triggers of our commander, meaning that our commander gets even bigger and is able to draw us even more cards. Then Honestly, I wish I could have included this in the regular version of the deck, but the Thran Dynamo is great at giving us a ton of colorless mana really early and triggering our commander. Then, you know how we had cards that make our commander deal its power and damage to other creatures? We can extend that further by adding in Chandra's Ignition and Nibelheim Aflame. Both of these allow our commander to deal a lot of damage to other creatures, but Chandra's Ignition specifically lets our commander deal its power to every other opponent. We have to have a bigger turn where our commander gets way stronger than what we were trying to get it to in this playtest, but Chandra's Ignition can make our commander kill all of our opponents outright. And if we have the doublers of Harmonic Prodigy and Veyron on the board, then it's way easier to get the power we need for Chandra's Ignition. Then we have Braya the Riptide Rogue. Braya gives our commander prowess, another way to let our commander get a little bit bigger, a little bit faster, but it also allows us to have one creature be unable to be blocked a turn. Just another way to do that outside of utilizing a Rogue's Passage. And, well, there is one other card that lets this deck extend stupidly far, and that is Birgi, God of Storytelling. Whenever you're playing Izzet Storm, you're really playing a red deck with blue as a suggestion, because all of the power is coming from that red mana you are getting. Sure, you can add rituals and such into the deck, and that's perfectly fine and viable, but I find that cards like Birgi are fantastic at making sure that not only do you win the game very easily and very quickly, Birgi being a lightning rod for removal helps us out a ton, because it means that even if we have to pass a turn with Birgi on the board, if it dies and our commander lives, then we still get to do our crazy turns when our turn comes around. And that really does it for everything in the deck. And I'm not frowning because I want to. I'm frowning because OBS keeps on crashing on me, and I just do not know why. So if you're a viewer of mine, and you have experience with OBS, and you know why OBS is crashing all the damn time for me, that'd be fantastic. I would love some help with that. Between the tooth pain and inability to afford the dental stuff and OBS crashing and air conditioning not working and just honestly, there's a lot going on right now, and I wish I had even a semblance of control over any of it. That said, though, I do thank you all for watching the video. I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. It means the whole hell of a lot to me that you have all been here watching my stuff and getting me closer and closer to 10,000 subscribers. I can't wait to pass that threshold on this channel. I had no idea that I'd even get close to that on a secondary channel, but more and more, this is becoming more of a focus for me. So, hey, thank you very much. I appreciate it. That said, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let me know if there's a commander you want me to tackle in the future. And as always, everybody, insert end of video tagline here. Hey, thanks for making it to the end of the video. I really could not do any of this without all of you. Those of you watching, and especially those of you who support me on Patreon. I wanted to go ahead and take a minute to thank all of you who do that, because with YouTube being what it is these days, I really cannot do this full time without the support from each and every one of you. Those people would be Red Joker, Purple Poundini, Jemshin, Britzkrieg, Jupe the Malignant, Michael, Ravalern, Mabbity Babbity, Astral Frontier, Tales of Atonement, Nixie Chan, Kiri Artemis, Limor Pinku, Love Bunny Games, Victorian Alchemist, I'm not saying the last part of that, and you know that, Aurora, Leela Ururaka, Arcton Arclacier, Kiratorian, Dren Hadamata, Jordan M, John L, Lord Bleck, Smiling Game Master, and Fire Shard. Thank you so very much. But since you're here, why not go ahead and try watching another one? There should be one that's on the screen right now. And if you are a patron of mine, I wanted to go ahead and thank you again for all of your support. There is still a video you could press though, if you'd like. I would appreciate it just a little bit.